From JA to UK to LA and everywhere else now, this is a podcast strictly influenced by Jamaican music, brought to you by Eric Kohler and Junor Francis. Well, if you're driving in your car or you're sitting home alone, the Junior entertain you on his microphone. The history of LA Ska. Yeah, hear stories from a guest while we all have a blast. From LA to Jamaica, it's in the podcast. The history of LA Ska. Of LA Ska, yeah. It's the history. Yes, it is. Of LA Ska. History of LA Ska, yeah. It's the history. Yes, it is. Of LA Ska. Of LA Ska. It's the history of LA Ska. One more time, yeah. It's the history of LA Ska.
Welcome to the History of LA Ska one-on-one sessions. I'm your host, Junor Francis, alongside our producer, my good friend Eric Kohler. Now, interestingly enough, this series celebrates the ska, rocksteady, and vintage reggae scene in Southern California and beyond through insightful conversations with legends and modern-day talent. So, whether you listen to us on the podcast or watch us on YouTube, we really and truly want to express our profound thanks. It's very important that you share and tell others to like. And we're getting a lot of people liking and supporting. And again, please subscribe and tell a friend. That's very, very important. On this interesting and fascinating episode, we bring together members of the influential ska-jazz-punk-reggae funk fusion group, primarily out of Long Beach. Some people refer to it as Strong Beach, California. Or they were active in the early 90s up until and about 1998, just before the onset of the new millennium, Pocket Lent. Gentlemen, welcome.
Yeah.
Hey.
Nice to have
Yeah.
you. So nice to have so many of you. And I don't know, did we leave out any genres when Junior gave that introduction? We probably did. Have we ever talked to this many people before? This might be the record or so.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Great seeing, let's see, Todd, Tavis, and Tim again, and very nice meeting a few of you, Mike, Justin, and Joel. But why don't we start, if you can, why don't we start by introducing yourself and letting us know what your role was in Pocket Lent and what years you were active.
I'll go first. This is Mike Long. Played bass. We started it with Justin and Aaron, and it moved on with the rest of these guys. That's yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, me? Okay.
You're second.
Yeah. Tim Wu. Yeah. It was. I was a sax player and a pseudo vocalist. I don't think I was ever really an official vocalist up there. It was pretty horrible at certain points. But yeah, I mean, I was in there, I don't know what, Justin, Mike, probably 93, somewhere around there, 92, 93, somewhere around there.
I'm going to say 92.
Yeah, like late 92.
Because I don't think we had our driver's license yet when we started the band. So.
Oh, yeah. I had to drive a lot of you fuckers around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So somewhere around there until, a lot of us started going to college. And, Justin, you moved up to Slow and, but yeah, an amazing time to be a musician in Long Beach, an amazing time to be a part of a group like this that couldn't imagine that all of us would be in the positions that we are in right now, so especially in the music scene. So pretty impressive, from my point of view. And I hope from a lot of our fans and all of our listeners too. Justin, your turn.
Justin Sears, drummer of Pocket Lent from 90 something to, I guess, to, was it 90 what? 95?
Yeah.
Yeah, 95.
No, because I came down 96.
96, like beginning 96.
97, yeah. Maybe. Yeah, fabulous time. I mean, I started playing with Mike Long when we were babies. Felt like it was like I remember seeing Mike rocking out on his little keyboard in like elementary, and was just blown away by this dude. Garage bands all throughout our whole school career,
right.
And then meeting up with Aaron, playing every genre that you can think of, I think, because we were influenced by so much music, and we listened to everything, and then just we kept on attracting all these other musicians that came, and more and more and more. We were just, just this ball of energy. And I just remember, like, I was really focused on funk and just, being that solid, just straight ahead drummer. But then the ska scene was getting so big, we were listening to, Sublime, of course, and
Real Big Fish,
Real Big Fish, Knuckle Brothers.
When I opened,
there was some on and on and on. Safe Ferris.
Well, what is it with the apocalypse? That what got us into it more or less was the Suburban Rhythm guys. That's when we knew. That's when we knew, like, we had it, because we were like a Meters cover band. And so
pretty much.
So when we started, John Panel at the time would put us at the Ice House in Fullerton, and we would play in between these ska bands. And then but I just know there was a time when we saw Suburban Rhythm, we knew, like, okay, we got to, like, learn this to, like, fit. So yeah.
Nice.
Who's next?
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Just want to say hello.
Hello, Ian. Hi, I'm Joel. I went to my first Pocket Lint show, and I'd like to say 1994-ish, and went to high school with most of these guys at Long Beach Polytechnic. And so it was like the show was on Saturday, and Monday morning I was like, okay, how do I get in the band? What do I do? So I was trombone from 94 to like 96-ish. Yeah.
Okay.
And then for a couple of years, yeah.
Nice. Todd?
Ian. Todd. Yeah.
No, I'm not me. I'm a couple of trumpeters after these beautiful
Okay.
guys.
Ian.
Hello, everybody. Excuse me for being late. I
No,
put
you're
my
good.
boy to bed
Oh,
in an extreme sleeping position. So, so hello, I'm Ian. It's nice to see all you guys. It's been a long time.
Long time.
What's up,
dude.
everybody?
And Ian, what was your role and during what years?
Oh, I was literally just there for the promo tape.
The Gilmore sessions.
Yeah. I had joined the army, and I came home after basic training, and Ike's like, "Hey man, you want to come record?" I was like, "I've not played in a long time," and he was like, "It's okay, man. Don't worry about it." So I just came down, and like I hadn't picked up the trumpet, and gosh, that must have been over the winter break, right?
Yeah.
So it would have been around Christmas time.
Wow.
So I'd been away since March, and so kind of went in the studio, did that, and then made the tape, and then they put it out, and at the end it said, "Thank you, Ian, for coming all the way from Haiti for playing," because I actually got called off to do the Haiti invasion, like in the middle of the recording session. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
But I had to go, and that was crazy. And then I think I did one show when Tavis, you were playing with them at that time. That was at a coffee shop on One Apparel in Broadway.
Yeah, Portfolio.
Oh, Portfolio.
Yeah, Portfolio.
Yeah.
Was it the Observatory? Or not the Observatory,
No.
the Orpheum.
No, Portfolio.
Did I play at the Orpheum?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure
man.
you played at Firecracker Lounge in Anaheim once too. I think I remember you being.
I could have. There was one where, Todd, when you were in, I think at that time, where it was in Fullerton, that I believe maybe Sublime was there, or no doubt, I can't remember, but at that point you guys were like a band, and I just like I couldn't really play that well. I had like it was like another quite a few months since I'd played, and I was like, you guys go ahead, and they're like, come on, play, and I was like, But I remember the one at the coffee place, Tavis, you were like, "Yeah, man, me and Danny are in this band that's doing pretty well." I was like, "Oh yeah, what they called?" He's like, "Real Big Fish," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool, man. Hope that goes well for you." I was like, "Yeah." No, yeah,
It went okay.
It was a cool kind of it was a cool kind of memory getting together. Actually, when you guys did the CD, one of the other times I came home, he's like, "Hey man, I got he's like, "Hey, I got a check for you for money from the CD." At the time, you guys were all like, barely out of high school, struggling musicians. I had a regular paycheck, so I was like, don't worry about it, dude. It's fine. You guys keep it. I wish I would have kept it, and like framed it or something. However much it was, like.
Dude, you got
Yeah.
paid?
He offered.
Straight up.
Tim's still waiting for it.
You're right.
Yeah. He offered. Yeah. Oh man, that was funny. Yeah, that was. Yeah, Ike asked me. They were like, "Yeah, I auditioned for this band called Hepcat. You should come and audition." It's like, "Oh man, just joined the army. Can't do it."
Wow.
Different time.
All right, so now,
Yeah.
Todd?
Actually,
Tavis.
not yet. Tavis.
Tavis.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, so Tavis Werts, I played trumpet from I think like spring of '94 until maybe spring of '95 when I got too busy with Real Big Fish and had to pick one or the other. Yeah, I went to high school with most of these guys and was playing in jazz band with Aaron and Joel. And so at some point, Aaron was just like, "Hey, we need a trumpet player. You're playing shows. You want to play with us too?" Hell yeah. So it was great. So yeah, I played until I got too busy and then Todd took over. So Todd, throw it to you.
I'm Todd.
Fantastic transition.
I learned about Lent through Aaron Owens. We became friends through this thing in downtown LA called Jazz America, which was like a master class for aspiring jazz musicians at the high school level. And everybody in this chat can attest to how incredible Aaron was as a human being, and he became a dear friend of mine. And then out of nowhere, 95, like end of the school year, he hits me up. He's like, "Hey, you want to come jam with this band that I'm in Long Beach?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, Do you play ska?" And I'm like, "Yeah, love ska." And showed up at this, what was like an industrial row of spaces in Lakewood in the middle of nowhere. And
Yeah. Was that Little Rock, right? The little rehearsal studio?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
and walk into this room, and my life changed forever after that. Tim, Justin, Mike, Ike, Joel, and Ike had like a blow pop constantly, right?
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time. And yeah, I'm forever grateful. Like such an amazing group of people, first and foremost, and then the music was fun as can be. That was kind of, I think, the first and foremost thing. And I was driving to Long Beach and Orange County every weekend. I think it was kind of just magically right after that just became a thing. Like I was down for the cause, and slept at Tim's place a lot, or than other friends. Yeah, just like
Wow.
that's how it became. So it was like 95 to it was like 90.
98-ish, somewhere around.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
98-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that long?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Talking about devotion and dedication, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think we must acknowledge your former bandmates. We mentioned them briefly, and friends Ike and Aaron Owens. These brothers left us way too early, man. They entered that gate of no return as youngsters. That can definitely impact you guys just talking about them, right?
Yeah.
So can you share some memories working with those two brothers?
I'll tell you the truth. I wouldn't know about the Isley brothers without the Owens family. Like they taught me a lot. Like, I mean, I grew up like listening to metal and a lot of rock, but they got me more into funk and jazz. And so they, encouraged me to listen to like just different type of music. And I'm grateful for that. And it's helped me a lot of like just music spiritual wise, just to have like a full circle or rounding of just music. But like, I'm grateful for them for sharing what they know about music with me. So, yeah, that's one thing I could say I could take with me. So
yeah, I can't think of I really can't think of a time where I was with Aaron that he wasn't showing me something new, playing some new music for me. I mean, he had all kinds of jazz albums. He had, at one point, he was playing me, I can't remember if it was Korean or Vietnamese funk music that his dad had brought back on a 8-track and all this other just wild stuff that he always had something. A box of cassette tapes in his car, and he would play the solos for you from a song, and then fast forward to the next part, and here, listen to this, listen to this, listen to that, and you always got a master class. It was really awesome. And Ike was in the music business before any of us. He was the person that was sort of like our spiritual band manager type as well, and
Big brother
really kept the seriousness, because the rest of us, I mean, I was the youngest one. We were kids, and I was messing around, and he was there to kind of keep us straightforward a lot of the time too, but also having a lot of fun, so
Yeah.
My favorite memories with those two guys were their fights during rehearsal. Right. Both of them are equally like super talented musicians. Their brother Brandon is a crazy virtuoso musician as well, but like complete polar opposite type of musicians, right? And like and they would fight for the music, not for ego at all. They were like
That's good to
fighting for their musical mission. And that battle, like we would just sit there and just let them duke it out. And the result is I think Pocket Lent, like the sound is, a lot of it is them duking it out for how it should be, and
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always just this weird dichotomy between the two of them. You know what I mean? And when I think of that group, as far as they were kind of the glue of that band, right? I mean, that whole family was incredible. The entire Owens family in general. You know what I mean? Down to his mom and dad, and of course Brandon as well. Just equally talented in just whatever they did. It just seemed so effortless and easy. From my standpoint, I mean, I think a lot of you guys kind of, went to the same schools, grew up. I didn't meet you guys till we got to poly, right? So I didn't know you guys until high school, and so I was kind of just the outsider, kind of looking in. Hadn't really planned on really doing much with music, to be honest, And it was really strange when Aaron just came up to me and said, "Hey, you're pretty good. You want to come and jam with us?" And I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know what that is, And so we went into they gave me this address, and I'm pulling up to some house in Long Beach, and it was your folks' house, Justin. And they're like, just cruise into the back, and we're all in the garage. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna get jumped. This is horrible, but you could just tell right away that just the creativity was just endless, especially with Aaron and Ike. But Aaron was just this ball of just like kind of just creative musical energy and juice that just kind of just rubbed off on everybody, And so, and it was very, it was alluring, you know what I mean? You kind of want to be around that a lot. And I think, all of us that were part of that group were just like, man, this is nuts, just literally. And the thing is with Aaron too, is that like, he was just, it's just like crazy, just music ADD, right? Like he couldn't, it was, at one point we're just doing just regular funk music, jumping into the ska thing. And then he'd throw this metal riff in there, wanted to play a bunch, and then he would want to play all these country, like these weird country bluegrass riffs. And I'm just staring at him like, dude, what is happening right now?
But do you remember when he did Red House in the jazz concert?
Yeah,
in high school.
That was Aaron. It was just like he had all this kind of just pent up in here, and it just came out in vomitous spurts, right? You just kind of just let it all out there, and it was infectious, man. And so I think as far as the group was concerned, and there was never really one genre. There they are. There was never really one genre that we really couldn't. Yep, that we couldn't lock down. You know what I mean? Because we just went from one to the other and jumped from one to the other, and it was always a trip because once we kind of got into this whole ska scene, we were always kind of like the outlier, like the outcast, right? Like half of our set or 3/4 of our set were all like funk songs,
right? Yeah,
and it was weird because we'd open up with these funk songs and these kids would just be staring at us like, "What the fuck is this?" You know, like what are they doing here? And then we jump into like Scotch or one of our other ska tunes and just freak them out. It would just flip them out, you know, and that was amazing to be a part of. You know what I mean? It really was, because it just felt like, man, we were just onto something that nobody really could understand at some point, you know, and it was great. It was insane just to be a part of that. So
then we jump into the Steve Miller Band cover and lose them all again.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Remember when we opened up for Lemmy Motorhead?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Last minute John Panel booking. Someone canceled. He called us. We did it. KNAC sponsored event.
Oh my God!
Ladies and gentlemen, Pocket Land, and all these like rockers are like, "What the?" And like, Aaron screamed something on the mic and then just like shredded, and we played, and they're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
Where was that? Here in LA?
House of Blues in
House
Hollywood.
of Blues. Yep.
That was actually that was a What I Open show that the three of us got. We remember Todd, Tim. We were playing shows with What I Open because they were playing with kids at Whitney High all the time, and so they brought us out. That's what that was. But yeah, that was and the person who's screaming on the microphone was Kevin.
Yeah. I guess it didn't take very much to silence the crowd, right?
That sounds right.
Wow.
But that was a wild show. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Solid blur.
A Long Beach legend right there. When I open right there.
Oh, yeah.
They have plenty of ska in their songs.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's plenty of amazing memories about the Owens brothers, and I got to interact more with Aaron when he was in Hepcat. Ike I met just on a couple occasions, but Todd, we worked together on, and I was honored to help with that tribute concert at the El Rey that we talked about off air. And that photo actually was the one that was used for this. Probably thanks to you, Todd, right? For
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, definitely left us way too early. Yeah, that's such a wonderful photo.
Yeah, it's funny. I talk about how they used to argue and stuff, and how Aaron would get so set in his ways about music. I've never met someone who was so emotionally involved in their opinions. Whereas, like, I remember one time I said that who's the guy that did the blues copy of the Hendrix song, really famous. Stevie Ray Vaughan. I said, yeah, there'd be no Stevie Ray Vaughan if there wasn't Hendrix. And he basically kicked me out of his place and didn't talk to me for like a year. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Oh, man.
Well, I mean, you remember that last rehearsal at Little Rock, Todd? Remember, right? Mikey, remember, like, we were just sitting there practicing, and all of a sudden, I think Ike just, Ike took liberties with a lot of solos and stuff like that, and he's the epitome of the turn it up to 11 in Spinal Tap, because he always pushed
his
the limit
keyboard
a little
was
bit.
so loud.
So he was blasting this solo, and then all of a sudden I hear the guitar go out, and I turned around and I look, and Aaron's jumping off the drum riser to knock Ike in the back of the head. Like, shut up. Straight up Jimmy Fly Snuka off the drum riser and tried to give a power elbow on the back like his head. And it was unbelievable. It's one of my favorite memories ever. So
the way that they actually fought, it was like a way that siblings only could fight, where they would literally reach behind each other's head to try to like slap each other in the back of the head, but facing each other, kind of like that, and it was It
Physical.
was a sight to see. It
Well,
was fun. I mean, not like harmful, not like a hard
Right,
hit, but
yeah,
just like a
right,
way
right.
brothers actually, fight each other.
Interesting.
Sure, of course, yeah. Such
you guys remember Ike doing the summertime on the bass trombone in high school at the jazz concert?
I
Talking
do.
about it turning up to 11.
Yeah.
Man, that guy, before he played keyboard, he was playing mostly bass trombone.
wow.
And he was not
Yeah.
a small dude. And he would just, it was like, and he would just, these sounds would come out. It was funny how like the way he played bass bone transferred to the keyboard, where it wasn't, it wasn't like Aaron, where it was just this like beyond genius conception of music theory, where it's just like I tried to have him explain how he thought about music theory to him once, just completely over my head.
Wow.
It's like Ike just heard these sounds and created them.
Yeah.
And on the keyboard, it was this beautiful, wonderful thing that you just like, what is that? With the bass trombone, it was like being hit with like it was like a pool noodle. It was like, what was that? It was awesome.
Musical geniuses.
Indeed
Yeah.
was.
Oh yeah.
So what, and let's go around, this is for all you guys. What was the first reggae or ska artist or song that you remember hearing?
It'd be Madness for me.
I guess for me, the Bob Marley box set.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, just straight up, that's, I guess, my first introduction. I mean, there's always been reggae around, but like my first album that I bought was probably the Bob Marley box set in the 90s when it folded with the 4 CDs.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a classic.
I still have that. Yeah.
Yeah,
mine-
I was in England until '85, so it was like Madness and the Specials, like that whole thing.
Yeah, definitely the Specials. I mean, you got to remember too, like late 80s, early 90s. I mean, being around in Long Beach, I mean, there was so much music going on, right? in freaking insane. And the kind of beauty of being in Long Beach too is the fact that we're kind of, we're like wedged in between Orange County and LA, right? So kind of being there in the early 90s, we got everything, whether it was, the Untouchables or, all the Bad Brain shows at Bogarts or, and then of
Bad
course
Brain shows were
insane, right? But then you had all the stuff that was slowly creeping up from Orange County. I mean, No Doubt was just getting started out. And then, of course, just like the random bands like your Corns and your Offsprings and stuff like that.
The Vandals.
And then, when we were all in high school at Poly, I mean, Sublime was the shit, man. I mean, that when we first heard, I remember sitting in Aaron's Volkswagen and just listen to 40 ounce, like front to back, like 20 times straight, right? It's like, I don't know how many times Aaron kept playing Don't Push, and just all these songs and just blasting through those. And then when it finally got to the point where we were opening up for these dudes, right? We were opening shows up for Sublime, and just sitting there like kind of in awe of like, this is crazy, seeing this live. And well, it was Sublime, so whenever they would show up, seeing it live, and whenever they were sober enough to actually be able to play a decent show. But I mean, just the energy and being able to watch that, and so I think a lot of that for us, like, growing up in LB, I mean, that's really kind of what turned everybody like kind of over. I'm like, whoa, okay, this music's heavy, man. I mean, a lot of us grew up listening to Marley and stuff like that, but just hearing it in our own backyards or in our homies' backyards, I guess, you know what I mean?
Right.
And being a part of that, that's, to me, that's what really kind of finally drew it in, and it all started to make sense at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
I can imagine.
For me, my brother was a college DJ in San Diego when I was fairly young, and so
College DJ means radio.
college radio,
Club.
and so he had access to a lot. And one summer he came home and he was like, I'm going to tell you about ska. And I think it was like Let's Go Bowling, Dance Hall Crashers, and Unsteady, possibly something like that. It was like San Diego area bands, and that I was hooked immediately, But then when I started listening to it on my own, like seeking things out, it was mostly going back and looking at English Beat, Selector, the Specials, bands like that.
Nice introduction.
Did everyone respond to the question, guys?
I like Tim touched on, like Sublime, like that seemed to be like my entry into reggae because I was listening to all kinds of other random crap during that time. And I remember my friend Joel Long had his brother had a Sublime tape, and it's just like, what the hell is this? It sounded so foreign to me because I was listening to, top 40 or like, random stuff at first. And then it went from Sublime to like Yellow Man and Bob Marley and just, and then into like just discovering this whole new genre of music, listening to like Operation Ivy, like the mix of the punk and the, energetic, music. Let's Go Bowling was one for sure. So Sublime definitely kind of brought it to my attention. And then it just opened a whole new world.
Robot.
Oh,
He'll come back.
for me, yeah, there is my introduction. The first thing I like really identified with was the Fishbone EP. Like that was like, hanging out in a record store and they're like, oh, you like ska, you should also check out. And then I got like California Ska Quake and all of the like
Yeah.
English stuff. And, it just started going down the rabbit hole. But yeah, that Fishbone EP was the first one where I was like, oh shit, this is great.
Unreal.
Nice.
Yeah, I ditto on the Fishbone. Growing up in the west side of LA, Fishbone were gods. And that EP, aside from, Bob Marley, for me was a huge eye-opener. And middle school got turned on to the specials, two-tone stuff. And a friend turned me on to Aggrolites, which really blew my mind and made the connection between ska and jazz or Jamaican jazz. And by the time I got to high school, started jamming with musicians at the school and stuff. A musician turned me on to No Doubt. And that just was, to me, that was the world. And that was how I got access to Sublime. And the same thing, once you heard Sublime, it's just like, where else could you go? It's
Right.
super special.
But become better as a musician.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So from a live performance standpoint, which band did you share the stage with most or perform alongside most?
I want to say the Charlie Hunter Quartet. I remember those at the Galaxy.
Wow, dude, you pull that one out of your ass. Damn, I
I remember, dude, the
That's
Charlie Hunter.
wild,
That was kind of tripping because like now that all the music he's made now, I didn't think anything of like Charlie Hunter back then. I was like thought it was cool. He had that crazy instrument that he has. I thought that dude was. I loved watching that guy when we played with him.
I'd say a lot of our shows that like, as far as a couple times we went on tour and things like that, it would be Aquabats and Real Big Fish. We played with them a lot. That was another couple that we did.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, you're talking about the height of the third wave ska scene at that point, right? So a lot of Real Big Fish, a lot of like Aquabats, Meal Ticket was another
My
band.
Superhero.
My Superhero. Hold on, I have a bunch of flyers right
Knuckle
there.
Brothers.
So there's
Club.
like Jump with Joey.
Oh, Jump with Joey.
Yeah,
Hey,
there we
Barry,
go.
was good.
Here, what else I got? Oh, here, Tavis, I got one for you too. That's the old Real Big Fish CD release party, right?
At the
So,
Galaxy.
Say Ferris and the Aquabats and stuff. So, I mean, at some point we just kind of got lumped in with a lot of those groups, especially all those crazy side-by-side shows.
Sure.
Remember those? Playing at the Ice
They're
House.
so good.
What was that place in Corona called? It was, man, I mean,
Showcase.
Yes.
the
The
showcase.
Showcase.
Yeah, the showcase or the barn. We used to do a bunch of shows up there and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, of course, we did a lot of shows with Sublime like early on in the day. Well, we did a lot of shows with Sublime, but they never showed up, and so we ended up playing most of those shows. But yeah, I mean, that's that. Being around in that at that time was, especially for us as musicians, because what I always feel is kind of crazy is that like pretty much everyone in this whole picture. I mean, obviously because except for Todd because he was up in LA. I mean, we all played in the same jazz band in high school, right? That's pretty much where a lot of us all met. Right. And just musicians loving music, but not really knowing exactly, outside of the jazz band. It's like you never really thought about playing stuff outside, and then all of a sudden these two brothers just come up and just start herding cattle. You know what I mean? They start picking all these cats, and then all of a sudden we get then Todd comes into the picture and just opens up everything a little bit more, and then we get like Il Sharon and all these other players. It's like, dude, this is insane. Like, you remember what was that one girl's name from Los Al? Jackie. Remember Jackie? Remember she came to your house, Justin, for like 2 or 3 rehearsals or something like that. Insane sax player. And I was just like, where the hell did this girl come from? And I remember Aaron just saying, yeah, I heard her practicing one day, so I just told her to come over. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? How does this happen?
He was definitely a recruiter.
He was.
Yeah,
but he just had that, it just had that ear of like, yeah, we just want people that love music and that can play and understand that, we're just open, just do whatever and just do your thing, and that was the kind of the magic of it, and I think that's kind of what all of us kind of fell in love with, and it was amazing. It was nice.
That was my favorite part about Pocket Lent, was just it felt so organic and chaotic at times, especially with Aaron, like his musical tastes, but it made everybody better, and it's just like we got used to improvising. Like it didn't, I don't feel like any live show that you came and saw us play at was the same. There was, we would play it didn't matter. There was no format. We were able to kind of, have that jazz element where we could just freestyle and Todd's going to take a solo. Mike's going to do a bass solo. I guess I'm doing a drum solo. Like, it's like,
for sure.
Would just call it out, and we'd have, I think that was freaking infectious to me, and I know to our fans out there, was just that energy and that surprise and that like, what the hell is going on? But just that fun and that excitement, I think, and the connection on stage between all my brothers here, it was just amazing. It's just like we would lock into this, that's all I can say. Just lock in. And
I still think that Gilmore session is one of the most intense. Like, it was the first time that I'd ever like improvised like that before, because I was mostly classical. We played jazz together and stuff. I did mostly classical before I left for the Army. And I remember we went, Ike and the guys were just like, yeah, come down and record it. And everyone was just so welcoming, and I felt so comfortable, even though I was out of my thing. And like, remember when we recorded Eggplant, didn't even know we were recording, like never even heard the song before. Like, if you listen closely, you can hear me like turning my back to the microphone and trying to figure out what key we were in. And Tim, you're doing the thing, and then turn back around. I was like, that was rad, man. Are we going to record it? They're like, oh, we just did. We're good. I was like,
that's man. Well, so that's actually a perfect segue to the next question. So you guys released, was it 2 cassettes and 1 CD? And I know you were on a bunch of comps, or is that accurate?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
And the white Pocket Lent tape. Then we had like a tape that was sort of ramping.
Yeah. Here we go. Right.
Yeah. Then another tape after that. Do you have that one, Justin?
I don't.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think anybody does. That's
the one that I was on. That was the one where I was on the cover of the tape. I wish I had that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the CD, this one right here. That's the That's the verse CD right there, and that was it. That was all the magic right there.
So how?
I found this guy.
Stiff Dog. Shout out to Daryl. Shout out to you.
Don't forget the Operation Ivy cover too.
That's right. Bang shot.
Yeah,
bang shot. Freaking Gil was nuts on that one.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of the compilations, but back to your full lengths or your EPs. So, how did the sound differ from those 3, if they did?
Different producer for the tape and CD. That was a significant change there.
I think you can really kind of see the maturity, for sure, the musicianship, right? So you got to remember that first tape we did, I mean, what, I was maybe 16, maybe somewhere around there. I think you guys were maybe 15, right? Because we're about a year apart.
Yeah.
I mean, we were teenagers, right? Like little kids.
Yeah.
And, rough, really super raw, and you can kind of tell that, we had some structures to the song and whatnot, but everything, again, kind of true to the sound. We just kind of made it up on the fly, right? And it's funny that you bring up that Eggplant song because, I remember the Gilmore session. I think we wrote like 2 or 3 songs there. Like there was only maybe 2 songs that I think were pretty much, set. We knew what we were doing. Everything else was just us kind of fucking around, that's what I mean, just a prime example was, like Where the Wild Things Are. Remember when we did that? And just, there was so many just like random things where it's like, okay, this will sound good. And then we put it on tape and then we listen back. We're like, damn, that sounds really good, so, and then kind of as we moved forward and then moved, when Todd had joined and stuff like that, we had more, we had a good set of songs, so by the time we went to Mambo at Anthony's studio, I think we had a pretty good set of songs. But even then, I mean, we wrote 2 or 3 songs off that album in the studio too, right? There was that one dub song that we wrote. And so it's just, it's interesting, being in rooms with people that are just like ultra creative, right? Because you just never know. But when you're so in tune with each other and just able to kind of weave in and out, and that was, again, the kind of the beauty of this band was we were just so able just kind of really just coordinate things. And, and the outcome just came out to be just incredibly just sick and nice, and I don't know, man, just that music. I miss those days. I always tell a lot of people now, I've been playing music, or we've all been playing music for over 30 years, right? And I kind of feel like, I peaked in high school, like with my musicianship, because I really feel like I peaked with Pocket, because it was just like, because nothing really felt as good as those times, And I think a lot of that was, we're just so fresh in the game, not a lot of just crazy influences and being burned out with different bands and the industry and shit like that. That's just like, that to me was probably like one of the best times of really just being a musician and really helping me grow as a musician to kind of the musician that I am today, And so it's nice to think back to those times and, listening to those CDs and stuff like that. And those early recordings, it brings back a lot of those memories of like, damn, man, we had it good. We had it good back then.
I had no idea how popular you guys had got, because I was all in North Carolina. When I ended up recording with Western Standard Time, like the guitar player came up to me, he's like, "Are you Ian from Pocket Lint?" Like, what? Yeah. No way, man.
That's cool.
Totally fanboying over here. I was like, wow. No way.
I love that. We're going to talk about the compilations here in a second, but Junior has one more question.
Yes, sir.
About.
Wanted to talk about touring a little bit. What kind of touring did you guys do, and do you have any memorable experiences or stories you want to share with us?
Todd, go ahead.
Oh.
Come on.
I got one.
You have my
got
undivided
one.
attention
Right.
now.
So we had a show up in Goleta. What was that? The living room?
Yeah, the living room.
It was like us and Action League and
Action League.
A band of Jawas of some sort. I remember that opened the night.
Yeah.
A band
and
of people like dressed up like Jawas that opened the set.
And Aaron and who else rode up and picked me up at Cal Arts up in Valencia. And then we drove to Santa Barbara, and Aaron was like, everyone came in the dorm and hung out for him, and Aaron was really quiet. Got in the car, Aaron's driving. He was quiet the whole way. Justin might remember. And then we're at the gig, and Aaron's trying to tune his guitar. And I'm like, "Are you okay, bro?" He's like, "Can you help me tune my guitar?" I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" And he's like, I'm on LSD, man. I can't. The dude, he was tripping balls that whole night, and he borrowed Dennis Owen's guitar like during the gig, and that was like this weird guitar, and he was like, even still like Aaron tripping, he would played his off,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget that. And I remember when Ike found out, Ike got like real pissed because Ike was actually real straight. He was kind of straight edge back then.
Dude, he was so pissed.
Yeah.
And so that was unforgettable.
Wow.
And
I mean,
then the Utah trip.
Oh, there's the Utah trip.
Utah
that was fun.
But there's also one of the memories that always sits with me is the infamous the bus exploding, man.
Oh yeah, that was
dude.
a high school jazz concert, wasn't it?
Yeah, but still, it was just like, man. I mean, Aaron had this VW bus.
Okay.
That we would do every show in, right? I mean, we would just pack into this old 70s VW bus, and he took care of it. He loved that car to death, and then all of a sudden one day, I guess it was a jazz show or something like that. The bus lit on fire on the freeway.
Yeah, it was on the Orange Street overpass.
Yeah. And I mean, literally just burnt to a crisp the entire car. And I think with Joel, you were the one that rescued his guitar, weren't you? Or
it reaped the benefits for years. Every time he would introduce me to someone, he would tell them the full story about how I walked away from the bus as it exploded. And I was totally chill, and I was like, I got the guitar like 15 minutes before it actually went up in flames.
I thought his Les Paul was in the car and burnt up. The black Les Paul that he had.
He lost one, but
he lost one guitar. But Joel managed to spare the other baby. So
hero, you're a hero, Joel.
Yeah. So I mean, with us, we didn't do a lot of touring. You know what I mean? We just did a lot of one-offs, right? I mean, there was that one in Salt Lake City that we drove out. That was a fiasco.
Yeah.
We
borrowed my parents' minivan.
Yeah. We took Joel's minivan, and I pretty much hammered the shit out of that thing. I was going 100 and something across the country.
I think mushrooms were involved in
that. Yeah, I was going to say.
I remember Esquivel a lot.
Yeah, we listened to a lot of Esquivel. We listened to a lot of Esquivel on mushrooms for sure.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So you guys didn't make it out to the Midwest and East Coast?
No,
I
didn't. As far as far east to be good.
We were more the kind of like the local band, you know what I mean, and just kind of just
local
cruised around Cali.
International talent.
There we go.
Right. We would have loved to, that would have been freaking amazing, but we just never made it that far, unfortunately.
Right.
What was fun was when I moved to New York, all the like ska musicians out there were like super fans, which was super cool.
Oh, yeah.
All our favorite bands in New York, when they're like, "Oh, you played in Parkland?" Like, like that was being mad. Like, okay, cool.
That's so great. So, you guys appeared on numerous compilations, and we're not going to talk about every single one, but let's touch on a few. So, Bank Shot, right, was your contribution to Take Warning Songs of Operation IV tribute album from '97. That one also featured Real Big Fish, Long Beach Dub All Stars, Aquabats, among a bunch of others. What can you tell us about that particular song and contribution?
I remember when we got it that we heard we were going to be on the Operation Ivy compilation, and everyone was like, "Can you guess what song we got?" Yeah, Bank Shot. The only instrumental. Yeah.
The instrumental band is going to be playing Bank Shot.
Yeah, but we took it cumbia. we flipped it.
Yeah, we absolutely flipped that track. Because we recorded that at Mambo, right over at Anthony's spot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think that was kind of the somewhat like coming out party for Gil, because when Gil Sharon played drums on that track and just absolutely went freaking bonkers with it. I don't know if you ever listen back to that song and listen to the drums on that thing, and you're just like, who the fuck is this kid on here? It sounds like a mix between like Buddy Rich and Louis Bellson, and it was just insane. You're just like, wow, this is crazy, And then of course just to toss it on like this, this album for, you know, a ska punk band like Op Ivy that was super highly influential, and then we just kind of turned it on its head, you know. And kind of the best compliment I could ever get on that track was like, dude, that was like probably the worst song on that album, but I couldn't stop listening to it. And I'm like, okay, so we did our job then. We mission accomplished, right? So
man.
You did. You did. And Justin, you were showing the Stiff Dog.
Oh yeah.
Can we see that real quick?
Yeah. Glare.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And what song of yours is on that?
I think that was that Scotch?
I think that was Scotch. Yeah.
Oh no, You're Making Me Sick.
Oh.
Yeah. That was my that was my Op Ivy Real Big Fish kind of influence, and we wrote the lyrics in the studio, right?
In the studio.
Yeah, I made the riff, I wrote the song, and I was just like, yeah, we're gonna do the ska punk thing. We're gonna get into the scene.
I'm wondering if his phone is.
I don't know what I was thinking, but I don't think it's very pocket lent, in my opinion. But it was a fun song.
That was a fun song, man. That was fun.
Yeah.
And you guys played some shows for Stiff Dog as well, right, Daryl? When he was promoting.
Yeah, we did a number of Stiff Dog shows and whatnot. Yeah, those are fun. Those are fun times.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you guys remember most about performing on the world famous Ska Parade show and interacting with Daisy and brother Albino Brown? Are they blood brothers?
I believe they are.
Any memories?
Come on, Mikey. What do you remember?
The 4th of July independent concert thing at Irvine Meadows when they had like 50 bands. They had Sublime, No Doubt. I remember we're on the same stage with Fishbone. And I guess like Angela was trying to ask us for a ride home or something toward the end of the night.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And we all look at each other like,
close to you guys.
Yeah.
That was a crazy show.
That was a crazy one. There were so many people there, but it was just a lot of bands. I know a lot of bands.
So many.
But I would say you like Tazy especially was a big proponent for the other band, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so a lot of props to Tazy Phillips, because I mean not just for the ska scene, but I mean he was a warrior for like a lot of the small groups that came up, you know. So we've always had a lot of love for Tazy, a lot of respect for him, because you know he pushed us, and he pushed us into a lot of shows that we had no business being a part of, you know. And so we definitely appreciate his efforts as far as really, you know, pushing for us, you know, again, because we were that kind of outlier band. You couldn't really kind of put us into a box, and to kind of shove us into all these ska shows, you know, initially was kind of weird, but it worked, you know. And a lot of that is due to Tazy and Ska Parade and Albino and all those guys, man, because they really pushed for us hard.
Yeah, Tazy got us in some sessions too for some other comps that he was behind, and I remember like to tie in like the whole Gil thing. Gil, Aaron, and I, we met through that Jazz America thing, and I was friends with Gil in high school, and he showed me the Ska Parade compilation video that they remember that video, and we would just like watch it religiously, and that's how we got turned on to Jump with Joey, and just being kids dreaming about doing this stuff. You know, so when we actually did the show in Irvine at the college, that was pretty big for young me. Like this is pretty incredible to do this, because Ska Parade was definitely, you know, like an eye opener and turned us on to a lot of what made us really get into the music even deeper.
Yeah, and still Ska Parade still holding it down like an anchor to a rock. Still steady.
True.
That's it.
Yeah.
Tazy's still going.
You
guys also appeared on, I believe, all three of John Halpern's biggest records. Hey Brother, Can You Spare Some? Talk about those comps.
You know what I mean? John was another one of those cats that, you know, in the scene, was really good as far as like digging out a lot of those smaller groups and really kind of pushing them to the forefront, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, we love John. You know, again, you know, kind of putting us out there when we really probably had no business being in there, and putting us on those comps. And you know, I think most of the songs that we put on there were most of the funk songs. Like Fat Albert was on one of those comps, right?
Come back and listening, yeah.
You listen to that whole comp, and then all of a sudden our song comes on, and you just start having that Operation Ivy tribute flashback again, right? Like, who the fuck is this? But I can't stop listening to this, you know? And so it's funny because, you know, Roger Rivas from the Aggrolites, a bunch of other bands, great keyboardist and whatnot, plays in the Double All Stars with us now and stuff like that.
Yes.
You know, he brings it up all the time. He's like, the only reason I bought that CD was for that song, you know, which is, you know, and it's great. And he'll play it in sound check, which is really weird, but, you know, but it really goes to show you that, I mean, you know, good musicians know good music, right?
Yes.
And so, you know, that's kind of where I think a lot of us, that's where we hang our hats on that, you know, just because we were just trying to put good music out. You know, we weren't trying to fit any box. We were just trying to play exactly what we felt and what we really loved playing, you know. And, you know, I think all of us kind of brought all that out of us, and that comes out, and especially on those compilations, which is insane, but it's great.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. So you appeared on Misfits of Ska 2 on Asian Man record with jazzy reggae song topic. Had you previously worked with Mike Parr, who's still active, as a matter of fact?
I know that, you know, we did a few shows with like Skink and Pickle. I remember, I know we did, gosh, didn't we play that show up on Berkeley or something like that? I think we did a Berkeley show with Pickle. That was like towards the end or whatnot.
Good.
I mean, you know, we were all big fans of Skink and Pickle. I love Skink and Pickle. And of course, being the sole Asian guy in the band, of course, I'm supposed to love Skink and Pickle.
That's a requirement.
It's a requirement, apparently. But yeah, I mean, you know, just their energy, everything, and of course, Mike is the front man, just running all over the place and screaming at people, and it was just insane. Lene on the guitar was just going insane, you know. And so that was definitely one of the bands that I think we drew a lot of some of the ska stuff from and whatnot. And you know, it was an honor for him to include us on those compilations, you know. And again, for us, I mean, as far as those comps, that was, you know, it was always a pleasant surprise to be introduced to those and be included in those, you know, because, you know, we didn't expect a lot of that, and just to get that love from that scene was nice.
And Mike is still busy.
He's still busy. He is still
yes,
busy,
yes,
you know.
Yes.
He'll do this until he dies. I truly believe that, you know. He's a busy guy.
Yeah. You guys did some of the Ska Against Racism dates, didn't you?
I think so. I remember one. I don't know, Mike, do you remember?
Yes.
I would say there's definitely a phase in there where I don't remember a lot of stuff. There's a lot of
there's a lot of stuff I don't remember.
and other items that kind of flow through there. So I do remember us doing one, but I, you know, lying to you guys and saying I remember how great of a show it was. Yeah, I would lie to you guys. I have no idea.
You guys on a flyer, maybe for at least the SoCal show. all good. So what led to the group's breakup?
They didn't break up.
they're
Still going strong.
Well, I mean, most of you guys got other opportunities, right? Like I think it was college, distance, and then other opportunities. You know, most of the people are still professional musicians. I'm one of the few people that's like sort of a hobbyist amateur. So the rest of these guys have full-time working gigs mostly. So
yes,
wonderful.
Which we're going to talk about here.
Wow.
But what year did you guys realize maybe that you had? I don't want to say better, but maybe at least at that time, right? A more appropriate, higher paying gig, so to speak. And what year was that?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know, Mikey, I don't know, or Justin. Yeah.
I want to say 97. That's when everything started.
Yeah.
You know, everybody got their opportunities. And I knew it started when they had the Bradley Noah Memorial. at the
Oh yeah.
Palladium. That was like, I think that was toward when everybody started, with the Hepcat, with the Doves,
Yep.
people got the opportunity. And it's great because, I mean, everybody, still had a future. Everybody flourished. Everybody grew. And it was great still for everybody. So, but yeah, I remember around 97, 96, I think that was around when Pockland kind of was like, everybody
Yeah, I
was
came back to California in 97 and you guys weren't playing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
I always saw the band in like these two phases, right? And it's weird because it was the Justin phase and the Gil phase, right? There was these kind of two halves of, playing through high school and like my first year at college, I went to UC San Diego and I would literally drive home every weekend for rehearsals and to play gigs, and once Aaron and Mikey and Justin were a year behind me. And I know once high school was finished, Justin, you were just about to move up to SLO, right? Up to San Luis Obispo.
Yeah, it was like, it was right after. Yeah.
And I remember at that rehearsal, just like feeling just like a pit in my stomach, just kind of crushed, you know what I mean? Because I think for a lot of us, I mean, a lot of our kind of like our identities and what we were about at that time was the band, And so at that point it was like, well, shit, what do we do? What are we going to do? Yeah. I mean, and so we're just trying to figure out. And then all of a sudden Gil Sharon comes around. Right?
Can you, before we go to Gil, though, I want to give Justin props though, because he was the core of the band, and Justin always brought it back together. Like you were the glue. And
absolutely,
I remember that moment very vividly, and was like I felt the same way. Like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah,
what's gonna happen?
No, absolutely. I mean, Justin was, that core Pockland sound. I mean, it wouldn't be even imaginable, had it not been for Justin, and that's not, being overly facetious or whatnot. But yeah, after that, it's like, okay, what are we gonna do? So, and then all of a sudden.
Love you.
You rub this magic lamp, and then all of a sudden this genie of Gil Sharon pops up. We're like, where the hell did this kid come from? And so, and it kind of just pushed it along for about 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? I think that was like 95, 96, early 97. We were able to kind of truck along through that.
Remember someone tried to be our manager?
Yeah. I wanted Aaron to stop wearing sandals, and Aaron was like, I will never stop wearing sandals.
But so then after that, people started going away to college, to school. And then that's when kind of like a lot of the other opportunities kind of came into play. Right. So, 97 was the year that Bradley tribute at the Palladium or the Palace came into play, and that's how the Dub All Stars were formed. So I started with them, and and I mean Todd, we went off with Macy and all them, but we'll go over all that in a little bit. But yeah, somewhere around there, like 97, 98. But still to this day, it's just like, man, just kind of looking to see exactly where a lot of the members of this group are or were, or, where we could have been or whatnot. Just think about some of the amazing stuff we could have written and put together and whatnot. And so
sometimes I think about if I would have taken Ike up on do that audition to Hepcat with him, and if I would have stayed in California instead of going to North Carolina, like how different.
Absolutely.
It's just crazy the little choices you make. Actually, I wanted to mention, because someone mentioned how we were all in high school jazz today together. I feel like we should mention Andy Osmond too.
Yeah.
Almost everybody was touched by him. He was our high school music teacher.
Okay.
And he passed away from cancer, but he was a legend in Long Beach. He took the Long Beach Poly music department from nothing to a standard bearer.
Oh,
absolutely.
And, do you guys remember the day in jazz class where he'd be like, put your stuff away, we're going to listen to Kind of Blue?
Yeah.
And we just listened Kind of Blue from front to end. And he'd just be like, listen to how Miles starts an idea here, and then it gets passed on to somebody else, and it gets passed on to somebody else. That was just like,
yeah.
So I feel like he just needed to be on the record as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Shout out to our other high school music teacher, though, Don Evans, the fastest snapper in the entire world. He was like that. And he's like,
So, what would you like fans to remember most about Pocket Lent? Those who haven't had the opportunity to form your opinion, now you can convince them.
What would you want your legacy to be as a group?
Well, we didn't have a vocalist, so I guess like the instrumentals and the arrangements that we had with just the different styles of music that everybody just contributed. You know, everybody put their time into it. Everybody put part of their soul in it. But like,
Was it conscious not to find a strong lead vocalist?
Well, I was definitely not a strong lead vocalist. I was the vocalist, but I was most definitely not a strong lead vocalist. Yeah.
We had 2 songs, right? "Making Me Sick" and then "Joker" as a cover.
The Joker.
That had
well, there's also the Rub-a-Dub song.
Yeah.
Mr. Wu.
Yeah, I tried, guys. I tried. I'm a much better horn player than I am a vocalist, that's for sure.
Well, I was implying that you're not, but he
didn't mean to offend you.
No, hey, trust me, no offense taken. That's for sure.
I don't think a vocalist would fit with our music because we were so all over the place. Like finding somebody that would bring it all together. I don't think that person existed because we were so we were so unique and different, and bringing all our different styles together. And it was in it. I think the music was more important than anything. Like, I think that spoke for us, That's the reason we could get away with our instrumental, style.
Yeah.
We always got props for the musicality, the musicianship. I don't remember who said it. It might have been one of the guys from Supernova, or when I'd open, they were like, "You're the musician ska band." And I thought that was pretty awesome. Like, and
definitely.
that definitely carried through. Like, everybody was like bringing their A game whenever we played, and that really carried on strong.
That's the most awesome insult ever, right?
You guys
we're the musician ska band, right? Yeah. I mean, as far as
will fans ever get a chance to hear you guys?
Oh man.
No, you mean in present day?
Yeah, right.
Junior likes to put.
Could it happen without the Owens brothers?
No, not without Ike and Aaron.
That's the tough part. I mean, Ike and Aaron were. I don't want to say complete heart and soul, but they were the core of that group. You know what I mean?
We'd have to bring in like 6 people just to cover the 2 that they had in the band. Anyway.
For sure.
And it still wouldn't be as good.
It still wouldn't be good, yeah.
And then have them beat each other up.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it could work if you play, songs that you played in the past. Just modernize them.
I couldn't admit.
Woo, that's a big ask. I mean, I would just love to jam. You know what I mean?
I'd love to jam with you guys again.
It'd be super fun to play.
Yeah,
I haven't seen, like, I'm so mad that I missed the beginning because I'm waiting to say hi to you guys. Like, oh man, what's going on? Congratulations on your kid. I feel like such a jerk.
So when was the last time that you guys all saw each other?
Was that Tim's house that you had
we had the little get together, and then whoever was at that tribute show at the El Rey, for
I was out of town
the boys. Yeah.
But the thing at your house was like 2011, 2012. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, just try to get a little get together for just to everybody. The only reason I put it together was digging through the closet, and I found the shoebox of like all the old stickers and buttons and t-shirts. I totally forgot that I had them. And
I remember you posted that on Facebook.
Yeah. And my wife was like, yeah, just toss those out. Those are just trash. And I almost divorced her at that moment. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And so I put it on Facebook and I said, hey, let's do a barbecue. Let's get everybody down here. And it was amazing just to kind of see everybody. Todd,
and what was the response?
Oh yeah.
It was 2013.
2013. There we go. So
There's me and
that's
Tim
that
jamming
picture
in the
is,
same room where he
in this
is.
room. We were jamming in this room,
Right.
and it was just nice to have Todd, your daughter, everybody's family was there. A lot of
Who's
friends.
playing music now?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. But like friends that we hadn't seen since, some people that I hadn't seen since high school, Dennis Owens was there, from Suburban Rhythm.
Yeah.
A bunch of guys.
That band was huge, man.
Yeah, amazing. So that was probably the last time we all kind of sat down and chopped it up a little bit. But we'll cross paths from time to time and whatnot. But it's would love to sit down with everybody again and just do this, talk about old times and talk about our two amazing good friends that are no longer with us here. Because
I feel like one of the reasons like they can't be replaced is like still to this day there was a thing that Ike said to me about the way I play, about what it is that I do that is my thing. He's like, this is your thing. And it was like 2 or 3 sentences. And it was like, I can't help but think he probably did the same thing with everybody. Like that had to be an integral part of why you guys are so, like even that recording day. But like he made me find this thing that like I was talking about you, Tim. I was like, man, I can't fly around the horn like Tim does. He's like, and he was like, man, that's not your thing, dude. You find that one note. And like I was like, I felt so good inside, and then I was just like, okay. Until like every time in years past that, when I'd start getting that imposter syndrome going in my head, I'd think about what Ike said, and it's like he had this gift to just like get people to know what their part in the picture was, and then Aaron just like I don't know who plays like Aaron. I literally I've never met anybody that does
no one.
Right. So we touched on this, but the caliber of talent in Pocket Lent is just incredibly impressive,
which is why people need to hear them again.
And the groups that you all went on to is also just astounding. So let's go around now, just talk about what you have done. And I know that it's tough to summarize in a short period of time here, but talk about what you've done since and what you're doing now.
I went on to punk rock.
I still do play trombone very rarely at this point, but I would like Ian is one of the people that has kind of kept me active over the years. I full-time family guy now. I don't have a whole lot of other cool band stuff, but I'll say what I have done is followed all of my friends here, all of my band brothers, and I'm just so proud of all of them. They're incredible talents all here and just have done some of the coolest stuff.
Very nice. Who wants to
I'll go. I guess like after Pocket Lent, I got a real job, and then around 99, I was in a band called Capital I, a rock band that went on tour with Limp Bizkit in Cypress Hill and Busta Rhymes, and we did festivals during that time, and then I slewed down, and then I ended up jamming in a group called the War Church. They had Grey Boy, Truly Odd, Opie, Marshall, Jesus from Lettuce, and Tycoon.
Wow.
And then around 2011, that's when I started with Peril Bravo with Miguel from Skunk Records and Mud from Long Beach Records. And that band just became like a travel band just to go to Costa Rica. But then through like the 5 years of doing that, and like I'm still doing it now, they came here today at my place. But yeah, I mean, the Peril Bravo band was a fun band because we didn't care about anything. It was just a travel band just to go to Costa Rica. So, but so I'm gonna, that band was that band's. I'm lucky that we were playing today though. So I was stoked. So
nice, that's great. I have seen Peril Bravo play. Who's next?
Well, I left the trumpet for years. It was, like I said, I'd left and joined the Army, and then I went back to college and started playing again, and did some experimental music, and then recorded with what's that ska big band, a Western Standard Time. That was when I kind of started getting a little bit more serious again. And then I actually started playing mariachi music. That's kind of what I do now. The
Cool.
lady that was, it's fun. It is a good time.
Which group do you play with?
Well, I'm doing a lot of freelancing now, but there was a lady called Rebecca Gonzalez, and she was the first woman in a major mariachi group in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
And she just recently died, but she was I had no idea who she was, because I'm wide as the day is long. But I actually I was like, it was a side gig. There was a church that had a Christian mariachi group, and they needed a trumpet player. So I was like, yeah, I've always wanted to try that. And then she was just like, one day she was like, hey, you want to learn how to play real mariachi? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And that's a lot of backyard parties, just like the old Sublime ones. No helicopters come over at the end.
I just been doing it, right?
Oh yeah, I love it. It's similar to jazz. It's not as complex harmonically as jazz, but it's just hundreds, thousands of songs that you just kind of got to learn and be able to change key based on whoever's singing it at the time, and then this different style. There's the standards and this. But yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful type of music. It's the only one. It's the only performing I've done. I mean, I've done all sorts of stuff like classical groups in New York and all different styles. Played with this group called Cafeteras recently, Las Cafeteras, and but mariachi, you're in somebody's backyard and you're playing a song that reminds them of that their grandma used to sing when they were babies, and they just cry. And like
I can imagine
that. Yeah, it's special. It's special. I really feel blessed to do it. I feel blessed every time that music puts money in my bank account.
Of course.
Takes me to Costa Rica. I haven't had a band take me to Costa Rica. That sounds like fun.
Nice. Justin, what about you?
I just played in a ton of punk rock bands. It was just a total switch. I loved the energy that kind of carried from the ska scene, and then even some of the ska punk bands that I was listening to in that kind of transition. But I played in this touring band called Noggin Toboggan. Super fast pop punk rock stuff. A couple albums. They have 3 albums, but I played on one called Pleased to Melt You, which is just fun, really energetic, good music. Then New Tomorrow was a little more kind of screamo, emo punk rock stuff. Recorded a couple albums with them. Almost signed to Atlantic. It got kind of serious, but then I did a pocket Lent, and I moved to Durango, Colorado, and screwed up those chances. Sorry, guys. And then what was the last? Lakes was another kind of an indie rock band that I played in. I don't know. I'm a drummer. I love so many different styles of music. It's hard. My commitment level sucks. It's just I've been in so many different bands because I like so many different styles. So, but those were the 3 main ones that I did after Pocket Lent that actually kind of took me places. Did some touring, actually all 50 states with Noggin Toboggan, which was nuts. Into Canada, all over the place, and for touring for a month and a half at a time, playing every day, and little basements and bars and all kinds of crazy stuff. It was a blast though. And now I'm just a parent. Got 2 wonderful kids, married to my wife for 14 years, and working at Home Depot. I'm a manager doing the retail thing, moving up the corporate ladder.
There we go.
But still, I'm addicted to music. I constantly write piano, guitar, bass. I can play a ton of different instruments, and I have to get it out. So I'm not playing with anybody currently, but I write all kinds of different styles, just like Pocket Lent. It's like everything.
That's great. Tavis?
Yeah, so I was in Real Big Fish until 2001. Then left that, went back to school, got a day job, took about 10 years off of playing, and then started playing 10 years ago with just kind of a bunch of different bands. I'm in a cover band that does songs from Tarantino movies called the Cineramas. We play around Long Beach a lot. And then I just did a couple shows with the Goodwin Club, and I'm recording with a few friends' bands. So, I'm a horn player, so I'm pimped out to whoever needs a horn player. But for the record, I was totally outclassed by the other two trumpet players in this band. I never lived up to anything near what the rest of the musicianship in this band was.
I have heard him say that, so he's not before. So Tavis has not blown smoke. Tavis, what years were you in Real Big Fish?
94 through the end of 2001. So I was on Turn the Radio Off, Why Did They Rock So Hard, and Cheer Up.
That's a big chunk. Yeah. Nice. Mr. Simon?
Well, I was thinking about what really made me leave Pocket Lent was I committed to a band called the Breakestra. And we had a strong weekly that was paying me very well and turned me on to a whole thing. So that's the culprit for me leaving the band. And I had left Gil and Ronnie's band, the Fratellis, at the same time, and they Ronnie still hasn't talked to me since I left the Fratellis. Sorry. But like a week after getting out of graduating from Cal Arts, I went on a world tour with Macy Gray, and ended up moving to New York. And when I left Macy's gig, I started playing with Antibalas, Afrobeat Orchestra, and joined a band called Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, which was like most next level experience ever. And
I didn't know you played with them.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I just got an advertisement for one of y'all's albums on my feed today. They're re-releasing one.
Yeah, super fun touring that stuff, and being tight with Sharon. She's a sister to me. And then 9/11 happened, moved back to LA, and joined a band called Connie Price and the Keystones with Dan Ubik, who together we put together a project called The Lions, which was SoCal reggae group, which is really fun.
And Todd, we first met too when you were playing pre-Lions, when you were playing with Joey Altruda.
Yeah, so we were doing Joey had a project called Crucial Rhythms, which was members of Ocean 11, Hepcat, and that was really awesome because before I left for New York, I would sub for Jumper Joey, which was super fun, and played a lot with Ocean 11, which I totally didn't give props to. They were a very influential band alongside Hepcat when I was in high school, but to get to play with Ocean 11 was like such a dream come true, like to play with those guys. And then just kind of like blew up. I wanted to have a family, and I took a full-time high school band director gig. And the minute I did that, my musical career exploded as an arranger and recorder, and ended up playing with all my heroes: Alton Ellis, Desmond Decker, Leroy Sibbles, Soul Syndicate, and then I can go and go and go. But a highlight was I co-wrote and arranged for Khalees's last record, and Ike was a part of that. And we toured, and I had Ike and Brandon Owens in the band, and that was a dream come true, to get to play with those two together. And those were the last times I saw Ike on those gigs, and that was really special. And I worked with Ziggy Marley, record and arrange for him. Been working with him for 10 years, and just did a tour with him last year, some dates, and it's profound. Music is a beautiful thing, and I would not be the musician I am today in all those years without these guys on this screen right here.
Wow.
Brothers, we all like kind of helped each other grow in a real special way.
Definitely.
Yeah, brilliant.
And last but absolutely not least, Tim.
So yeah, after what was that, 97, after that Enough Already benefit, that's kind of the gig where the Dub All Stars was kind of born, right? It went from like a one tribute show to when you guys playing again, and we didn't expect to really have much after that, but you know, especially with that huge hole after Brad had passed, and you know, the Sublime self-titled album blew up, and people wanted to hear the songs, and so that's when the Dub All Stars were born, that summer in '97. I mean, funny story was, for that gig, I was at UC San Diego at that time. I was supposed to be pre-med. I was on a full scholarship to school, and I actually dropped out of school, and I left that scholarship to play with the Dub All Stars. And my mom has not forgiven me since. She's still so pissed and bitter about it. There was a stretch of like a month when I was touring. She would call me every day while I was on the road and say, "Are you done yet? Are we done? Are we done with this stupid band yet?" And I'm like, "Okay, I think I'm okay, but we'll see." So did that. We did a couple albums, you know, and this is really kind of before that whole like Cali reggae kind of scene really kind of blew up. I mean, I felt like, you know, with us, you know, we were the ones taking bands like Slightly Stupid out, Pepper, you know, before they blew up, before this whole Cali vibes thing kind of took off and stuff like that. So I kind of felt for that gap in time from when Sublime was done to where it is now, we were kind of that torchbearer band of really kind of bring a lot of that music across. And we had a good run at it, you know, up until about, well, let's see, our second album was released on 9/11. So that was kind of a damper, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so after that, we played maybe for about a year or two and split up after that. And then, you know, following that, played with a bunch of some of those other bands, Stupid, Pepper, a lot of those reggae bands through then, got married, had kids around that time, you know, got linked up with some other really special artists like, you know, Chronics and Wailing Souls, Barrington, Half Pint, a lot of the bands that we had taken out on tour with us as the Dub All Stars. And we took Pint, we took Barrington, you know, we had Tip of Ivory out there with us. And so, you know, linked up with them for a time being.
Did you record? Did you record with some of those?
Yeah. So like for the Wailing Souls thing, we did that Psychedelic Souls one where they're doing a lot of the covers and stuff like that. So we were on that album, myself and some of the other Dub All Star guys and stuff like that. Continued through that, you know, and then after that had kids and turned into kind of like a full-time dad, had to get a job. You know, luckily enough for me, I saved up enough money from the band and ended up going back to school. So I went to USC for pharmacy school, and I'm a pharmacist. I'm a full-time pharmacist now. And but the Dub All Stars were still playing. We just released a couple albums, you know, here and there. Still working on some new music, and you know, myself and Opie and all the rest of the guys were still trucking along, playing some shows here and there. And now it's just for the love of it. You know what I mean? We love the music, we love the scene, but I will absolutely agree with Todd, you know, and I'm sure it is with all of us that we would definitely never be close to the musicians that we are now had it not been for everybody that's here and everybody that was a part of this entire thing, you know, and especially Aaron and Ike, you know, I mean, that those two really kind of grew this tremendous, just creative outflow of just energy, you know. And to this day, I mean, it still cannot be stopped. It comes out in each and every one of us, you know. And so a lot of props to those two, you know. And you know, I do, and I know all of us here do. I would love them to the utmost degree, and we have the most amount of respect for those two possible, you know. And I mean, even, man, you know, and the crazy part too is that those two probably weren't even the best musician in that whole family when you look at Brandon, right? I mean, that's the crazy part. Their youngest brother was probably the most insane musician out of all.
That's what Aaron said.
It was just, it's incredible, you know. And so to that entire Owens family and whatnot, dude, we just love them to death, and I appreciate, you know, everything that I've been able to experience with them. And
although I must say here, and I keep talking about the way that Jack White would call their songs. like, I don't know too many people that could do that. He said they would he changes keys every night based on his mood. He said he just start a song and he just started, and then they'd have to be like, okay, it's in that key now. And they just have to play it. And they didn't know what was coming, what key it was going to be. Like, I don't know how many people could do that. That's insane.
Yep.
Wow. That is insane.
Yeah. Another crazy thing. You want to know how crazy small this music world of ours is? Junior, when I joined the Army, one of the people I listened to music every single night with a guy called Eric Woodruff.
Oh.
DJ Wood, you did a thing out in Claremont with him.
Yes,
not too long ago.
Yes, man. He's from the Claremont area. He's
DJ Wood, yeah.
And we linked up this past Christmas, New Year.
Yep, he came back. That's right. And we used to listen to the Pocket Lent CD a lot, and we would listen to all the California bands talk about all the. And he's doing a reggae podcast to this day.
Yes.
It's just the passion and the love.
Funny.
Yeah, it's a very small, beautiful community.
I know. Yeah.
I think they call him Dr. Woods now, right?
That's right, Dr. Wood.
Serious reggae scholar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
did you say we arrived at our destination? Any closing thoughts?
I mean, listen, we could go on and on, but
obviously
we really, really appreciate you guys taking the time and and getting together here and talking about the old days and reminiscing, and obviously paying a lot of respect to Ike and Aaron. But any final closing thoughts?
I just want to shout out. We as mentioned before, Aaron would bring through a lot of people to try out for the band. So we also had Shantae Palmer on trombone, and the incredible Chris Colonier was the guy who came after me. Just one of the best trombone players I've ever witnessed in my entire life, and one of the only people I know who had like perfect pitch essentially. So just wanted to shout out to those guys real quick.
Nice. Absolutely.
Sante, I haven't seen that guy forever. Such a nice dude.
I just want to give a shout out to you guys for putting this together. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's been a long time since we've really kind of like sat down and kind of went through a lot of these stories. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it feels like it's just like a Band-Aid. You just kind of have to rip it off at times and whatnot, just kind of go through this and to to sit here and be able to tell these and have just this story kind of be acknowledged is nice, because I think a lot of times we kind of again, like I said, we were kind of the outliers of that whole scene, and we don't necessarily feel like we need to be cherished in a way, but we definitely don't want to be forgotten, and so I appreciate the fact that you guys bring us up here just to kind of acknowledge the fact that Pocket Lent was, that we were a good band. I mean, we had good music out there, and we were able to do it for a little bit and really kind of enrich some people's lives with our chaos and creativity.
Eric is the visionary behind this.
Yeah.
Todd has always talked up, and rightfully so, his involvement in Pocket Lent, and then Tavis, when I guess it was holiday before last, we were talking about, and you told me that you were in Pocket Lent, and I told Tavis, I said, we should do one of these episodes, and obviously, here we are.
It was such an important, it was literally, I could have been a few hours. I actually played with you guys. It was a recording session in the coffee shop place. I played in high school jazz band with you guys for a lot longer, as far as time went, but the effect that it had on me as a person and a musician is just epic. Just epic. And it was like when I was sitting there and I was feeling bad about the choices I made in my life out there in North Carolina, I could watch what you guys were doing, and it made me feel so good. I remember when you said the thing about how Real Big Fish are doing pretty good, Tavis. I remember there was one night I was watching a ska show on MTV, and I was like, well, I wonder how good they're doing. I have a feeling I'm going to see those guys. I stayed up until like 3 a.m. watching MTV, and y'all's first video came on. I kid you not. And I was like, whoa, it was the first time I'd seen some of my friends like do it like that. and like the Hepcat record was for sale in North Carolina. And like all you guys watching you guys do your thing, it's like it kept it kept it alive. And talking to Woody about music kept it all alive in me. So when I got home, I just had to pick the horn up right away. Like I couldn't live without it. And like Pocket Lent was so important to me that I'm so glad that you guys put this together so that there can be a little piece of history that get to hear all these guys talk about it, because it means a lot.
Well, I appreciate that, and Tim, I'm going to hit you up to get some snapshots of flyers and photos and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
But well, thank you. Yeah, thank you all very, very much. Looking forward to getting this out and having your fans hear more of the story. And
Amazing stories, huh?
Yeah, really appreciate it, and continued success to you all. And I'm sure I'll see Junior and I will see you out and about. So again, thank you very much.
And please subscribe to this podcast series and our YouTube channel. Follow us at History of LA Ska on Instagram and join our Facebook group. This series is produced by Rockery Radio, run by Eric Kohler.
And again, gentlemen, thank you. Junior, thank you. And we appreciate everyone's support out there. Please continue to do your part to celebrate and preserve the scene. And I'll leave you with this. Come on out, put on your dancing shoes, and enjoy yourself. So until next time, everyone, guys, be well.
Yeah, wonderful conversation.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Really, really enjoyed it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you for the
barbecue
time.
soon.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.